Senator Kyle is retiring. It's an open seat. And the primary is August 28th. And the final election is the same date as the presidential election on November 8th. And our first step has been to compile our signatures so we are on the Democratic ballot, which we have done. And we continue to get signatures as a way of introducing people to our campaign. I'm going to quote something I heard recently. The system is broke. The system is not working. The people are trying to fix the broke system with old tools that don't work. We need a new set of tools to come in. We need people for the voters to elect that have a different point of view. I've been a psychiatrist for many, many years, and also doctor of pain management is why I'm running. And what I've seen is there's a lot of unfairness that can't be changed from my seat as a physician. I estimate that I've had 150,000 visits with people of all ethnic groups, of all types, and people have a lot of issues which directly relate to what the governments are doing. The governments are representatives and should be understanding what people need, and the job of politicians is to take it in context and talk with people and explain to their best ability what's going on in the big picture that affect things, and then come up with steps to solve problems. What's happening in our nation is there's terrible divisiveness between the political parties at every level, state and federal. As a psychiatrist, I have dealt my whole career with these problems in families, with these problems in organizations. I have studied and learned many techniques that I think would be helpful to apply to the monkey business going on in our family called the federal legislature. This is my first point that I think justifies my running over a lot of the other people running for congressional offices. People don't come for help, especially if they're families or groups. They think they all want to solve their own problems without any help or dependence until things are really crucial. What I have found from talking to people in this country and from my own experiences is things are reaching a very crucial point. We have problems in a variety of areas that aren't really being directly addressed by the people that should be talking with us about them. These include problems with economics, problems in our relationships with other countries, problems with our domestic programs in healthcare, in benefits for people, problems primarily also with jobs. Immigration is a national issue and goes in many directions to many of our problems. I was born in Mexico, America. When I talk to Hispanic populations, I say, hey, I was born here. I speak Spanish. I lived here. This was your country for a very long time. It's very tied into some people's worries about what's going to happen with our Hispanic population moving into our country. In the future, we're going to have a different problem in our country. It's going to be lack of labor. It's not going to be trying to keep people out. It's going to be trying to get people to come in. Our responsibility is going to be to educate those people so that they can join our workforce. Otherwise, the Hispanic population, which is almost the majority now in Arizona, will be the super majority there. It will be a super majority anyway, whatever we do, and we'll have an uneducated population that's doing low-level labor. And then as technology advances and they no longer have jobs, we're really going to be in a dilemma. So we're tied to the border. The border is an interesting place. I live on the border. I have friends on the border. I see what happens to families that are split. I see my relative who came across many years ago, got sent back, came back, has been running a business in California with employees for many, many years, but still can't get his status established because our immigration policy is totally screwed up. I'm a civil surgeon. What that means is, for the U.S. government, what that means, I do immigration examinations from all countries. So I see many people from Mexico and other countries. I also am quite aware of what happens with jobs. There are many jobs, particularly in Tucson where I live and throughout southern Arizona and really throughout other parts of the country, that Americans don't want to fill. Either they can't do it, they don't want to do it. We need people who want to do it, who want to work, who want to, perhaps they don't want to live here permanently. We need to give them a step so they can be here legally, either a visa work, so we can have our crops picked, so we can have our buildings built. My stepfather is a trailer slumlord, but they're not really slums. Most of his tenants were people that were here legally or illegally because that gave them low-cost housing. They never caused a problem. They didn't want to be, they were very careful. They always paid their bills, and they're gone. Problem is not that the people from across the border are taking our jobs. It's another whole issue with the economy. The problem is we have many things to do in education of our population to fill jobs that need to be filled. The idea that somehow people from across the border are going to come here and displace our economy is not correct. We need to know who comes. We need to have protection on the border. I know many of the ranchers on the border who have their areas trashed. If we had a program where we would give credits for every 52-gallon bag of garbage that was brought out of the border, we would get credit toward a visa, that border would be cleaned up almost overnight. We have improper incentives. We don't have terrorists coming over the border. Terrorists don't come that way. They don't walk from Mexico. Terrorism is a subject that takes a lot of stepping back again and looking at the big picture. There's a man named Chambers Johnson who wrote a book called The Blowback Trilogy. He gives us a clear description that our country has been involved throughout the world, since World War II at least and before, in making sure that no one else has what's called hegemony. Hegemony means control. To us it means that nobody's going to get to the point of challenging us economically or in some other way controlling what we need to do. We have supported dictators who have been totalitarian and brutal over popular revolutions because we have thought that they would be on our side. We've made a lot of mistakes. It goes to our fears and security of the rest of the world. We trained, most people know now, maybe they don't, that we trained Osama bin Laden's troops to fight in Afghanistan against the Russians because we felt that was in our interest. And then lo and behold, when he maintained his army and somehow decided we were the enemy too, we were surprised. There was no surprise there. The tentacles of these problems go in many directions, and what we're not doing as politicians and as leaders is explaining how things connect. So it's almost impossible to come up with solutions.